midway through November. I still haven't made a video for ranking my September movies or my October movies, so today I'm going to rank them both combined. I'm going to rank every September movie I saw and every October movie I saw. It's just okay because I saw 5 in each, and that means that I have 10 movies to rank, so it's kind of a perfect number. But before I get started, please make sure to subscribe and like button, hit the bell, and comment below what is your ranking of every September and October movie you saw. You could do them individually, you could do them together. Basically how I did this, I always add movies on my Letterboxd list. I was just like, okay, yeah, let's combine these, see which one was better. So that's how I did that. I want to know what is your ranking. And with that said, let's get started with Spy Kids Armageddon. And real quick, if you can tell, my voice is a bit scratchy. I just got over being sick, so don't go down in the comments saying, oh, he's finally hitting puberty or something like that, because I'm sick. I've already hit puberty. Like that's none of your business. But Spy Kids Armageddon is number 10 on this list. It's my third worst movie of the year. And there's a good reason for this. I still intend on making a video that starts a series, The Worst Movies of All Time, with this movie. 30 seconds into this movie, I knew I was going to start that series. I told myself, you know what, this is so abysmally bad that I'm going to make a series out of it. And halfway through, it's got some of that ironic enjoyment that I get out of watching movies with my brother. But then it just keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. There's a central theme here about peace, and you gotta have peace, and you gotta do things a nice way, which is a good thing to teach kids, but it's done so horribly wrong. Towards this guy about to murder this entire family, and the daughter's like, no, guys, we can't fight back. We gotta show him peace, and it'll change his heart. I so wanted him to pull out like an AK-47 and just like, bam. Right then and there. Maybe even shoot me. That's how bad the movie was. And riddle me darned when he actually switched and it's all like, you know what, that little girl's right, I got peace in me. And it's a good message to teach kids, but the execution was so horribly bad. It was horrible. The movie's only an hour and a half, and I felt like I was sitting there for 3 hours. It felt that this is longer than Killers of the Flower Moon. That's something you don't want to say. So, I mean, like, I fell asleep at a certain part in the movie, and I woke up feeling completely rested, and only 5 minutes of the movie goes by. This is a true story. I'm not saying this for the video. I'm saying this because it's a true story. This movie is just an insult to Spy Kids. Spy Kids, for me, was a franchise that I loved when I was a kid. Not so much now, obviously. But going into this one, I knew I wouldn't like it, but I didn't know that I thought it would be this atrociously bad, that it didn't do anything right in the movie. It just was an insult to Spy Kids fans. There's 3 movies this year that released this year that make me angry. This one, the new Insidious movie, and the new Ant-Man movie. If I talk about these movies, I could go on and on. I gotta stop talking about this movie, but it just makes me so infinitely bad at how they completely just ruined Spy Kids for the new generation. 9th place, Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Let's be clear, that's hell down there, okay? Spy Kids Armageddon is all the way down there. Pet Sematary is halfway to heaven. They're halfway to heaven. This movie isn't horrible. It's my first introduction to this franchise. This is the first Pet Sematary movie that I've ever seen. And so, I think more of the reason why I didn't like it was more probably because it was that, or maybe it's because it felt like it didn't try to do anything unique. You have a premise here, and even though I don't know what I'm talking about pretty much with this movie, but you have a premise here that sets you up to do some pretty unique things within the franchise. And it feels like the direction they went with was just, let's do the same thing over and over again. You know, it's only going on Paramount Plus. Nobody's really going to watch it. Let's just do the same thing. And to me, that's kind of like a simple cash grab, except nobody really watched this movie. So it's just kind of like, yeah, we're putting that out there, and you can watch it if you want, but we didn't put any effort into it. I liked a couple of things. Obviously, the premise for Pet Sematary, I had no idea what it was, and I kind of liked the premise about there being zombies, about evil in the Pet Sematary and losing people. And the final act was pretty interesting. It had some pretty cool action sequences. But it just feels like this is a corporate product. It's a lazy product. They're like, okay, we got a movie here. What do we want to make it? Oh, let's make it a Pet Sematary movie. What's our story? What's the story of the last movie? Let's do that exact thing. And I'm I really have no right to talk here because I've never seen that last movie. But it 100% feels like just another movie that they just farted out and threw on Paramount Plus. And it's just kind of lazy. And it's not even all that entertaining. There's a couple cool parts when it goes into the whole slasher mode vibe with the creatures. It was pretty cool. But it's kind of hard to hide my disappointment. I was excited to watch this one, and it just feels like, just another crapped out movie by a studio. And so, yeah, pretty disappointed. Never really got me excited to watch the rest of the franchise. So, number 8, No One Will Save You. This is, if Spy Kids Armageddon is in hell, and then, No One Will Save, not No One Will Save You, Pet Sematary is halfway, No One Will Save You is in heaven. I think that this was a good movie. I think this was even a really good movie. In fact, those last 2 movies were in the bottom 10 of the year for me, and this one is in the top 20-25. Like, that's the big jump here. But No One Will Save You is a pretty great thriller. It starts off really strong, only one word said, but you're engaged the entire thing. The creature designs are really creepy, and just like I said, the creature design really works, and it's really creepy. It's actually really, really creepy. The first sequence, when the creature walks in the house, the alien walks in her house, I was sitting there like, ooh, that's got me chills. That really works as a horror film. That really works as the premise for your horror movie. And, like, it was executed well through that. The thing that I wasn't all enjoyed was everything when the aliens weren't attacking her. There's this twist here that the director said he made it as like a synonym for cinnamon. What is wrong with me? A synonym for aliens coming down and her being misunderstood. So because she's misunderstood, the aliens are misunderstood, and that goes back. When the ending happened and she started dancing with all these alien-possessed people, I was sitting there like, what the actual balls just happened? What happened? So I pulled out my trusty phone and I Googled this movie. What the heck does this ending mean? And then it explained it to me. I'm like, so if I don't get it, how do you expect the general audience to get it? I don't see how you can make a movie with this ending being this confusing and expecting the general audience to be like, yeah, I get that. She was misunderstood. I sat there and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't get it. And it kind of ruined the experience just a little bit. 2/3, it's a great thriller. It's got some great horror elements. It's not really a slasher, but it's just thrilling and has you on the edge of your seat. The last third of the movie just kind of like, I don't know what's happening, really. I don't understand this twist. So it's almost a great movie, but it has to be stuck in the good. Next up, 7th place, we got Expendables 4. And this is at the bottom of a lot of y'all's rankings. I think the thing is, I've never seen an Expendables film. I don't know how great the other ones could be. Went into this one with low expectations, but I think the reason this one worked for me was because it wasn't like an atrocious movie. Sure, the effects were bad, the story wasn't all that strong, but it was entertaining to me. It was very entertaining. A lot of people are saying it's a slow drag to get through. For me, I disagree completely. I think that this was a very, very entertaining movie. I was entertained fully watching this movie. I think it was pretty fun. The chemistry at the beginning between Jason Statham and Sylvester Stallone, I want to watch the other Expendables movies just for that chemistry. The rest of the movie, even when Stallone is gone, it's still pretty fun. It's got some cool action sequences. It's got a cast that has good chemistry with each other. It's meant to be a Friday night movie, and me and my dad went to go see it on a Friday night, and we both left theater like, that was pretty fun. And I don't get the hate that's coming with it, because maybe I need to watch the other movies, but I found this one fun. Does that mean it's without problems? No. Obviously, the idea to kill off Sylvester Stallone and then bring him back is absolutely atrocious. If they were going to kill someone off, I think just keep him dead. I think that I didn't like the fact that they killed him off, but the fact that he came back alive was even worse to me. And, like, there's this part where this innocent man won a bet, and he won Sylvester Stallone's ring off that bet. And so him and Jason Statham go to the bar and beat everybody to the point of death to get that back. An innocent man. I was like, okay. Wow, that's okay. And the top even matters worse. The reason Stallone survived is he kept that guy, innocent guy, in there and strapped him to the plane and jumped out so it looked like there was a dead body on him. Why? That is so dumb. That is so dumb. And it's just a lot of fun. It's not without its flaws, but it is a lot of fun. It's a very fun movie, and I really can't complain by how much fun me and my dad had in that theater watching this film. Five Nights at Freddy's. This is the new, long-awaited video game movie that they were planning to make years and years ago, and then years and years more, and then more years and years. Finally came out. And it's got the internet pretty divisive. One half is saying, oh, it's a disappointment. The other half, the fans, are saying, that was exactly what I wanted from it. Me, never played a Five Nights at Freddy game in my life. I've tried it once with a friend. I played like one night and I got bored. I never really understood the lore. I never was really interested in this until this movie came out, and I figured, you know what, I'll figure out the lore enough in the movie. No time to spoil it for me. And yeah, the movie did its job. It made me want to play the games. It made this to be an entertaining time. It was pretty good. The horrors of this is pretty strange. The movie's rated PG-13, but it's got some dark stuff in here. Springtrap, or whatever his name is, William Afton, being like this guy who kidnaps kids, kills them, and puts them in the animatronics, freaked me out. That is a freaky premise. That is a freaky execution of that premise, and the way they did that was pretty good and pretty sad as well. It's very sad as well. The cast here is all great. Josh Hutcherson, obviously Matthew Lillard, he gets to go a bit crazy like he did in Scream. I did feel a little bit disappointed by that aspect of the movie, because I was like, I want him to go even more psycho. I wanted him to go even a little bit more psycho, but I feel like he was fine. The cast was pretty great here. The horrors were pretty great here. There's one scene where we get slashing stuff, and the slashing stuff was also pretty cool. Like, it did some things that I wasn't expecting a PG-13 movie to do. Sure, it cut. There wasn't a lot of blood, but there's like a lady getting eaten in half off the side of the screen. Like, that is crazy. As a horror movie, it's not really scary. It's just like the premise of the serial killer killing kids, putting them in the animatronics. That freaks me out. The set design is wonderful. The costumes are wonderful. I think that this movie looked absolutely fantastic, and it's got some things that are really worth it for me. It's really a weird movie overall. I feel like at times it kept piling and piling. I was like, hold on, I gotta pause the movie. Okay, this connects to this, and this connects to that, and that connects to this. And like, it all sorted out in the end, but it was getting a little overstimulating for me at points in this movie. So, I mean, not a perfect movie. It definitely could have fixed some things, definitely could have toned it down a bit. But for Five Nights at Freddy's beginner, I think that this was good enough and like got me invested in the rest of the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, and I kind of wanted to play some of the games after watching this. And that's exactly what I wanted the movie to do, was get me invested in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Saw X is number 5, and I know a lot of you were disappointed with my review when I said that it was one of my least favorite Saw movies. And to be clear, I'm going to talk about this movie as a movie, not a Saw movie right here. The Saw movies, for me, I love them when they're just the same thing over and over again. Person gets kidnapped, goes through these crazy traps, big giant twist that does not work. I love that. That's what I love about the Saw franchise. This movie here, it does something different, and as a movie, I think it really works. As a Saw film in the franchise, I think I like the others better. But this one, for me, I also think really works. Making John Kramer the center and front focus of attention, I think was really interesting idea, and I think it really paid off for them. The people that he's doing these traps to are truly terrible scammers that I feel like absolutely deserve these traps. The traps themselves are pretty cool. There's one where he has knives and he has to cut out these things off his hands, really gory and really gross. There's one that he's got to cut out a piece of his brain, one that you got to cut off your own leg. Like, all that stuff was pretty crazy. And even though it was kind of weird having John Kramer just standing there watching them, I feel like it still kind of worked. Gave a new fresh life to the franchise. The big problem I had with this one, though, is the ending and the twist didn't fully wrap it around for me. I don't think that the twist was all that necessarily good. It was like, oh yeah, she called in and this guy is evil now, and they planned this whole thing out to where him and another guy were going to be on this trap. Like, who was the second person supposed to be? What was this person doing? What was the point of this here and there? It really just didn't fully all tie together for me. I was like, okay, yeah, that goes there and that goes there, and I was just like, okay, the twist could have used some work for this movie. I still think it's a good movie. I still really enjoyed the movie. The traps were great. The only trap that disappointed me was the Saw eye trap. I just think it's a solid movie in and of itself as a Saw movie. Not necessarily one of my favorites. It's quite like Scream 6. As a Scream movie, as a Scream mega fan, not very big of a fan of that movie all that much. As a movie lover, it's a good movie. As a movie lover, this is a good movie. As a Saw mega fan, it's not my favorite in the franchise, and that's okay. A lot of people are saying it's their favorite because a lot of people don't love Saw as much as I do. Like, a lot of people think that the sequels are pretty bad, and I love the sequels. I love them. And so this is just my opinion. That's just how I interpreted Saw X. Still think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's the best Saw movie. Number 4, The Equalizer 3. And I saw the first Equalizer a couple days before I went to go see this. I was planning on watching the second one. Still haven't gotten around to seeing it. And I wasn't a fan of the first Equalizer. And so going into this one, I was really hoping it did something else. And the thing that's good about these Equalizer movies is they're just throw-on movies for Friday nights. Me and my dad went to go see it on a Friday night. We sat there in the theater and we're like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty good movie. That's a pretty exciting action movie. I feel like it improved on a lot of things that the first movie did. It cut the runtime a little bit to where it didn't feel so long. These people that are doing bad things to this town, the town itself is really a person here, and it really works. I love movies that you have the person, you have the feeling of the town that's a person. The villains were so diabolically evil, if I can speak, and you really wanted the Equalizer to equalize them out. And the action sequences were still pretty cool, pretty bloody, pretty gory. There's obviously one in the trailer where he shoved a gun through a guy's eye. That's really cool. There's some really cool action sequences here. The overall, it's just a throw-on Friday night movie. It's an action movie with blood and gore and kills and super extreme action scenes that it's just a fun enough movie. It's not as long as the first Equalizer movie was. The thing for the first Equalizer movie was, for me, it just kept going and going to where we needed to get to the climax. And by the time we got to the climax, it just wasn't interesting to me. This movie, when it got to the climax, it's like, you know what, we're not going to keep going. We're going to get to the climax. And that really worked for me. And I think that's really what improved itself. This was more entertaining than the other one. It's not going to win any awards. It's not going to be in my top list. But it was an entertaining, fun time for the movie. Obviously, I love Denzel Washington as anybody, especially this Equalizer, one of my favorite characters from him. And so, yeah, it's not going to win any awards. It's not going to be my favorite of the year, but it is, sure, a solid time for an Equalizer movie, and really surprised me. Number 3, kicking off our top 3 of these movies, Killers of the Flower Moon. And for this one, this is my first introduction to Scorsese, and so I was just excited to watch this one because I'd never seen a Scorsese movie. I went to see it on opening night. I told my dad it was 90 minutes long. That was a stupid thing because we sat there for 3.5 hours, and he was like, bro, you told me this was 90 minutes. I was like, yeah, I wanted you to go see it with me. So I was like, okay. It was a fun experience. Pretty fun experience, except that this was my worst movie experience of all time. So, yeah, we could hear Taylor Swift music coming from the next theater. You always love it when you do that. You could hear people vacuuming because it was 10:30 at one point. This family brought their little children to the movie, to a 3.5 hour movie, to where they were running around the theater oh, can we go get more popcorn? Can we go get more popcorn? And they're like, sure, babies. And that was annoying. My teacher was there, so I saw my teacher. That was pretty cool. Shout out to him. But yeah, it was a pretty bad theater experience. The movie itself, also the seats were horrible. That theater seats is horrible. The movie itself, pretty good. The people are diabolical in this movie. You feel that. You feel the evils that they are bringing on. The gut-wrenching stuff that they do. The movie is like trying to hide and secret. It does a couple of interesting things here and there that keep you in suspense, but you know what's going to happen, but it keeps you in suspense thinking it's going to go another way, but it goes the way that you think it's going to. And that really worked. And that aspect for me, I think that really was a good aspect. There was some gore, and like the kills were brutal. The mystery was brutal. The movie is 3.5 hours long. It's not going to be for everybody. I definitely will never watch this one again. But it's a movie I definitely think everybody should see. It's definitely that. It's gut-wrenching. It's based off a true story, so if you want to know more about this group of people, then I recommend you read the book and watch this movie. I've done both. And so, like, it's gut-wrenching story. It's a story of people that actually happened. It's educational more than it is entertaining. It's a movie I respect more than it is than I am entertained by it. And so, yeah, I liked it. I definitely think it's up there with some of the best of the year. But it's definitely not my personal favorite movie. But it does a lot of things right. It's like Oppenheimer. Except I think Oppenheimer was better. But it's like Oppenheimer, to where Oppenheimer was this movie where, like, I respect more than I love it. This movie is a movie I respect more than I love it. And as an introduction, it's just crazy. I think it's okay. Number 2, Totally Killer. One of my favorite horror movies of the year. This was a slasher movie that was insanely fun. This was an insanely fun movie that I could not get enough of. I had a blast while watching this movie. And so, like, it's got a balance of Scream and Back to the Future, to where she's time traveling, and then there's Ghostface. Not Ghostface, but, like, there's this killer coming and slashing this group of teens. There's a mystery here to where you're engaged, like Scream. The time travel aspect was fun when, like, you notice certain things from the future. There's a part where the daughter's talking back to her mom, and the mom goes, "I never talked to my mom when I was that age." And when she was with her mom back in the past, her mom totally talked to her mom that way. And I thought it was pretty funny. The movie's pretty funny. It's pretty gory. It's pretty slashy. It's everything I wanted from this movie. I'm a big fan of slasher movies, and this movie was one that was on my radar, and I watched this one with my brother, and I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. This is probably my second favorite horror movie of the year. I forgot Evil Dead Rise exists, but this movie is it's a pretty fun movie. It's a movie that I would recommend. It's not one that I really have all that many problems with. I think that this is a very fun movie, and I think that if you're a horror slasher fan, you should check this one out. It's really good. I really liked it, and so it's definitely going to be one that I watch every year. So, I mean, Totally Killer is that fun. It's like a Scream movie. It's just as good as Scream. It feels like it's in the Scream franchise, and it really works for me. But first place, obviously, it's going to my favorite movie of the year, the creator, the new, not Denzel Washington, but John David Washington movie, Gareth Edwards. A lot of people were saying they weren't that big of fans of it, so I was going in with my expectations very high, but very low. I did not want to get disappointed. And through this whole movie, it's a personal journey. The journey is emotional. It has so much emotions, but the action is high, and the stakes are high, and it does everything right like it was supposed to. Everything is done right in this movie. Everything. From the action to the story to the twists, all of this was done right. Very, very good. The ending was emotional and leaves us off at a place to where you're like, that was satisfying, but it's also very sad. And it's like there's actual risks here to where people die, and you did not expect that to happen. On top of that, I said this multiple times, the action is amazing. When there's action, it's very good. The thrills are very good. The set design and the cinematography is very great. You're rooting for these robots, but you're also rooting for these certain humans, and so you don't necessarily know who to root for the entire movie. And so you're just like, it's just a character study based inside this big war that just perfectly works. And it's a movie I cannot wait until a Steelbook comes out so I can get it and I can watch it. It's a movie that I dare say it's better than Across the Spider-Verse. I love this movie. I think it was masterful. This and this one right here. Gran Turismo right here. These are movies that I think that, Across Spider-Verse, and The Creator are movies that are my top of the year. These are such amazing movies, and this one is just so good. Go check out my full review on all of these movies. They'll be in my channel somewhere. Thank you guys for clicking on this one. Make sure you let me know down below what is your ranking of these movies. Got a not Miss Marvel, but a Loki Season 2 and the Marvels review coming out. That's my next video. Then I got, obviously, predictions for the NFL. I finally watched Spiral last night, so I'm going to finish the Saw stuff. Yeah, so that was this video. With that said, thanks for subscribing. Of course, I cannot speak today. Thanks for watching. With that said, subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.